So inspired by St. Patrick's Day coming up here, and my middle name is O'Toole, so I can't not do something Irish for this time of year. We're gonna make a really delicious Irish coffee ganache. I just wanted to really quickly show you for my macaron shell, I decided to go for like this reddish brown sort of hue. I don't really know why. I just have been really enjoying this redwood color recently, and I wanted an excuse to use it more or less. But I'm just making a regular French meringue macaron shell, and then as soon as I get this really nice stiff meringue made here, I'll dump in my dry ingredients. The one special thing I'm doing to my macaron shells today is adding some coffee grounds onto the top of my macarons as sprinkles. Now, if you want to add some coffee flavor into your macarons without having any of the texture, you can also actually add instant coffee into your meringue and have this really nice subtle coffee flavor. Otherwise, if you are a coffee fiend like I am, adding the ground coffee beans directly onto your macaron shell is a fantastic way to go. Otherwise, if you don't want to add any extra coffee, if what is in the ganache is enough, absolutely feel free to have regular plain old macaron shells. So I'm just going to pipe this whole tray, tap it, and then sprinkle on my coffee grounds. I do also think that this is a really great time to highlight your favorite coffee or a local coffee roaster, anything that you really want to highlight. You can use whatever coffee you want to. So I do think it's really fun, again, if you like the double dose of coffee. I'm going to bake these shells just like I normally would. It will smell amazing because of the coffee on there. And then we're going to get into the ganache. This is a pastry cream style white chocolate ganache, though I am also using some gold chocolate. I am using a very small touch of cinnamon, some espresso, vanilla, and then our secret ingredient, some whiskey, or you can use any kind of alcohol you might use in an Irish coffee. So the first cream and the espresso, the sugar, the vanilla, and cinnamon are going into my small saucepan. I'm using cinnamon because when I order an Irish coffee in a restaurant or bar, usually it comes with a cinnamon stick in it as decoration, so I wanted to add that little pinch in there. The second cream and cornstarch are in a small bowl. Then both of the chocolates are going into another bowl, and now we're finally ready to begin this ganache. So I am going to get the cream in the saucepan just on a medium-low heat here. I really want this to come up to about a scald. I want that sugar to dissolve before I temper it into the cream and cornstarch mixture. You really can think about this process just like you would making any pastry cream. So I am going to add the warm cream into the cornstarch mixture, add it back into the saucepan, and then I'm going to continuously whisk that on a low to medium low heat until it thickens and just barely begins to boil. As we are waiting for this mixture to thicken up, I do want to talk about the coffee that I put in here. So I used espresso. I have an espresso machine at home, so that was really easy for me to add in there. If you do not have an espresso machine, absolutely no problem. You can use either hot coffee, like a strong coffee that you brew. You could use a strong cold brew or cold brew concentrate. I just recommend you look for one if it's store-bought. Just make sure it's like 100% coffee. Otherwise, if you want to replace that with cream and use an espresso powder or any kind of instant coffee, that is also okay. If you want to really intensify the coffee flavor, you can replace more of the cream with some espresso or coffee, or add in some espresso powder on top of the espresso that's already in here. Again, you can adjust this to your personal coffee loving taste. Now, the only liquid that we haven't incorporated right now is the little bit of whiskey, or if you want to use any other thing, Kahlua, Baileys, rum, whatever you want to add to make this a boozy coffee or an Irish coffee. I'm going to add that at the end because alcohol can kind of be weird when you are adding it into a pastry recipe, something that needs to thicken or act in a certain way. It can be a little bit tricky. So we're going to add that in at the very end. If you do not want to add that in there, if you just want this to be a coffee ganache, if you want to burn off the alcohol, if you want to use an extract to make it non-alcoholic, or again, if you just want to completely leave it out, all of those options are completely okay. As you can see here, going back to this cream mixture, it is starting to thicken, so it's super important to be whisking continuously so everything cooks really evenly, nothing gets stuck or burnt on the bottom of the pan. As soon as it completely thickens and just starts to bubble, I am going to remove it from the heat, and then we can pour it over our chocolates. Before I pour this coffee cream over my chocolates, I just wanted to mention that they are partially melted. This is so that the coffee cream doesn't have to do all of the hard work. It will help this ganache process move along more smoothly. I'm going to pour on that cream, let it sit for about a minute so that the heat from the cream can absorb down into the chocolate. Now I'm going to mix it just with my spoon, or you can use a spatula until it is all combined. Before I get in there with my immersion blender, though, I am going to pause and let this sit on my counter for about 15 to 20 minutes. I want it to cool so that as I incorporate in the butter, there is no chance of splitting the ganache. So do not skip this step. Make sure to pause again, let this cool down to just above room temperature. Otherwise, it can be quite problematic with this style of ganache. First, I like to just emulsify the ganache as it is by itself, and then I will start adding in the butter one little piece at a time. That butter, of course, is room temperature and unsalted. As you can see here from all of the espresso and the addition of the gold chocolate, this already has a really lovely coffee color to it, though if you wanted it to be even richer, you can add in some additional brown food colorant, though I think it is perfect just as it is. At the very end, right after I add in all of the butter, I will quickly emulsify in the whiskey I have sitting to the side. Again, if you want to replace that with another alcohol or if you want to leave it out, that is absolutely okay. That is your choice. I am just sticking with the theme of Irish coffee. So now I'm going to emulsify this in. I'm going to transfer it into a new container so it can cool completely to room temperature. Then we can finally finish our macarons. All right, this ganache is looking so silky and luscious and beautiful. I'm gonna get it into my piping bag and fill the macarons. I am only using this one Irish coffee ganache. I am not using any other fillings. It is perfect just on its own. And the addition of the coffee that I sprinkled on the shells is going to provide a little bit of extra texture. So this does have a really nice feeling as you bite into it. Lots of great flavor, though if you wanted to add in any secondary filling, just like any other macaron, absolutely go for it. Adjust this to your personal preferences and do what works best for you. Sandwich these together, get them into the refrigerator to mature completely, and you are finished and ready to dive into these Irish coffee macarons. I hope you love this recipe and tutorial. If you give it a try, make sure to tag me over on Instagram. I love to see your hard work. Thank you so much for being here. I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.